I fell into the lake. But my friend's dad lifted me out and into his world. The water hit like a slap from the devil himself. Cold, black, and unforgiving. Yanking me under before I could even scream. 1 second, I was laughing with Jake on the rickety dock at his family's lake house. The summer sun baking our backs, bottles of cheap beer clinking in a half-hearted toast to nothing at all. The next, my foot caught the warped edge and gravity did the rest. No warning. No dramatic slow-mo like in those Netflix thrillers. Just a crack of splintered wood. A splash that echoed like a gunshot across the glassy surface. And then silence. Underwater silence. The kind that presses on your chest like a boot, muffling the world above. My lungs burned first. A sharp twist that made me thrash blindly. Arms slicing through the murk like useless paddles. Bubbles exploded from my mouth, carrying my panic up to the light I couldn't reach. Jake's face, fuzzy through the ripples, hovered somewhere overhead. His mouth open in a yell I couldn't hear. "Alex, hold on." But the words were lost in the roar of my own heartbeat, pounding like bass from the Bluetooth speaker we'd left blasting some indie rock playlist. The lake smelled of algae and forgotten fish, that earthy rot seeping into my nose even as I clamped my lips shut. I was 22, fit from endless laps in the campus pool. But none of that mattered now. Weight of wet clothes dragged me deeper, jeans heavy as chains, sneakers filling like sponges. Then, a shadow sliced through the green haze. A hand, broad and calloused, wrapping around my wrist like a vice. Not Jake's slim fingers, these were thicker, forged from years of sketching blueprints and swinging hammers on job sites. They pulled with a force that jolted my spine, hauling me up through the weight of the world. I broke the surface gasping, choking on air that tasted like freedom and pine sap, my body slamming against solid warmth. Coughs racked me, water spewing from my lips in salty bursts, and I clung to him instinctively, nails digging into the damp fabric of his shirt. "Easy, kid. I got you." The voice was gravel and smoke, low and steady, cutting through the chaos like a lifeline. Ethan Hargrove, Jake's dad, 45 and built like the houses he designed, all quiet strength and sharp angles. His arms locked around my waist, one hand splayed across my back, the other cradling my head against his shoulder as he weighted us toward the shallows. His breath came in controlled huffs, warm against my temple, mingling with the faint scent of his aftershave, something woody, like cedar after rain. I could feel the rapid thump of his heart under my cheek, syncing with my own erratic stutter. Jake splashed in after us, his face pale as the foam on the waves we churned up. "Shit, Alex. You okay?" "Dad, what the hell? Did you see that slip?" He was all frantic energy, 22 like me, his best friend since freshman orientation at State U. The guy who dragged me to this cabin every summer since we were kids building forts from driftwood. But right then, his voice was a distant buzz. All I registered was Ethan. His grip unyielding yet tender, the way his fingers flexed against my ribs as if testing for breaks, the subtle tremor in his exhale that said more than fear. Relief, something deeper, flickering in the lines around his eyes. We hit the sandy edge, and he lowered me down like I was glass, knees sinking into the muck. The sun beat down, turning the water on my skin to steam, but I shivered anyway, teeth chattering as the adrenaline crashed. Ethan shrugged off his flannel, draping it over my shoulders, still warm from his body, carrying that same cedar whiff. "Breathe slow," he murmured, crouching to meet my eyes, his own stormy blue and unreadable. Up close, he was all rugged detail. The faint scar above his lip from some long-ago construction mishap, the silver threads weaving through his dark hair, the way his jaw clenched like he was holding back a storm. "Thanks," I managed, voice raw as sandpaper. My hand lingered on his arm a beat too long, tracing the corded muscle under damp cotton, a spark jumping where our skin brushed. He didn't pull away, just nodded, once, sharp and final, before standing to face Jake. "Get him inside. Dry clothes. Coffee. Ethan's tone brooked no argument, the architect in him mapping out the fix like it was a blueprint. Jake nodded, hauling me up with a slap on the back that made me wince, but as we stumbled toward the cabin, logs weathered to a warm gray, porch swing creaking in the breeze, I stole one last glance over my shoulder. Ethan lingered by the water, staring at the rippling spot where I'd vanished, fists jammed in his pockets. The lake lapped at his boots, whispering secrets I couldn't yet hear. Inside, the cabin smelled of aged wood and last night's chili simmering on the stove, a comfort that clashed with the chill still gnawing my bones. Jake shoved a towel at me, muttering apologies like it was his fault the dock was a death trap. Dude, that was insane. Thought we lost you for a sec. He was pacing now, energy spilling over as he yanked open the linen closet, tossing me one of his old hoodies. Faded band logo, too big on my frame. I stripped in the bathroom, the mirror fogging from my ragged breaths, water pooling at my feet in dark puddles. My reflection stared back, cheeks flushed, lips blue-tinged, eyes wide with the ghost of that underwater void. But beneath the shock, something else stirred, a warmth that had nothing to do with the steam. Ethan's flannel hung on the hook, and I buried my face in it before I could stop myself, inhaling deep. It was stupid, reckless even, this pull toward a man twice my age, the father of my best friend. He'd always been there in the periphery, grilling burgers at barbecues, fixing the boat with quiet efficiency, offering gruff advice over morning coffee about figuring out your path, son. Jake's mom had passed 5 years back, cancer stealing her laugh from these walls, leaving Ethan to raise a teenager solo. He'd rebuilt himself brick by brick, just like his designs. Solid, unyielding, but with hidden depths I was only now glimpsing. I pulled on the dry clothes, the hoodie swallowing me, and stepped out to find Jake in the kitchen, pouring mugs with shaky hands. Here, black, like you like it. He slid one over, but his eyes darted to the door, waiting for his dad. Ethan entered then, shaking water from his hair like a dog, t-shirt clinging to his chest in ways that made my throat dry. He poured his own coffee without a word, leaning against the counter, steam curling up to soften the hard set of his mouth. "You two idiots need to watch that doc," he said finally, voice low, edged with something sharper than anger. "Worry, maybe, or exhaustion from carrying the weight of summers past. It's rotted through. I'll fix it tomorrow." Jake laughed it off, a brittle sound. Yeah, super dad to the rescue. Again. But there was no bite, just the easy rhythm of their bond. Son needling father, father grumbling back. I sipped my coffee, the bitterness grounding me, watching the way Ethan's gaze flicked to me over the rim of his mug. Held, lingered, a beat too long, electric in the morning light slanting through the checkered curtains. That look, it was the hook sinking deeper, not just gratitude for the save, but a current pulling me under all over again. Into him, into a world of stolen glances and unspoken aches, where the lake's chill was nothing compared to the heat building in my chest. I knew it was trouble, the kind that could shatter friendships and families. But as Ethan turned away to rinse his mug, shoulders rolling with that quiet power, I couldn't look away. The fall had been an accident. This was the real plunge. The rest of the morning blurred into forced normalcy. Jake cranking up the speaker to drown out the awkwardness, belting off-key lyrics as we sprawled on the sagging couch, feet propped on the coffee table scarred from 1,000 coasters. The cabin's air hummed with the low buzz of cicadas outside, a soundtrack to our recovery. I laughed at Jake's jokes, nodded along, but my mind replayed the pull. The drag of water, the anchor of his hand, the solid wall of his body breaking my descent. Every swallow of coffee brought back the taste of lake on my tongue, mingled now with phantom cedar. By noon, the sun had burned off the mist, turning the lake into a mirror of blue sky. Ethan emerged from the garage, tools clanking in a battered metal box, wearing faded jeans that hugged his thighs and a plain white tee stretched across his back. He was all focus, measuring the dock's edge with a tape that snapped like a whip. Jake nudged me. "Wanna help? Or are you still playing damsel?" I flipped him off, grinning to mask the flutter in my gut, and we ambled down. The sand was warm underfoot, gritty between toes, carrying the faint brine of evaporated waves. Ethan glanced up as we approached, wiping sweat from his brow with the back of his hand, leaving a streak of sawdust. "Stay clear till I brace it. Last thing we need is round 2. His eyes met mine again, that blue holding steady, and I felt it, like a line drawn taut between us, invisible but unbreakable. "Wouldn't dream of it," I replied, voice lighter than I felt. Jake dove into the water with a whoop, surfacing in a spray that caught the light like diamonds, oblivious to the tension coiling in my shoulders. We worked side by side after that, Ethan directing with clipped efficiency, handing me nails that bit cold into my palm, his fingers brushing mine in the exchange. Each touch was accidental, deniable. A graze here, a steadying hand on my elbow there as I balanced a plank, but the air thickened with them, charged like the ozone before a storm rolling in from the horizon. The hammer's thud echoed across the water, thwack, thwack, punctuated by Ethan's grunts of effort, low and primal, sending unwelcome heat pooling low in my belly. Sweat beaded on his neck, trickling down to darken the collar of his shirt, and I caught myself staring, tracing the path with eyes I couldn't control. He paused once, mid-swing, chest heaving, and turned. "You good, Alex?" The question was casual, but his tone dipped, intimate in the open air. "Yeah," I lied, hammering a nail too hard, splintering the wood. The miz shake my thumb, a sting that made me hiss. He was there in an instant, gripping my hand, thumb pressing the pad of mine, callous rough against my skin. "Let me see." His breath ghosted my knuckles, warm and steady, as he inspected the red welt. Time stretched, the world narrowing to that point of contact, the distant splash of Jake diving oblivious. "It's fine," I whispered, but I didn't pull away. Neither did he. The cicadas screamed louder, or maybe it was just my pulse. Finally, he released me, clearing his throat with a rumble that vibrated through the dock. "Careful. Can't have you bleeding out here." The words hung, double-edged, and I nodded, heat flushing my cheeks brighter than the sun. Jake called from the water then, breaking the spell. "Hey, lovebirds, you building a castle or what?" His laugh carrying easy across the waves. Ethan straightened, clapping sawdust from his hands, but as he turned back to the task, I swear I saw the corner of his mouth twitch, a secret shared in the slant of light. Lunch was burgers on the grill, the sizzle of fat hitting coals filling the air with smoky char, mingling with the tangy bite of ketchup Jake squirted straight from the bottle. We ate on the porch, plates balanced on knees, the swing creaking under our weight as feet tangled in lazy rhythm. Ethan sat across, legs stretched out, boots scuffed from years of this ritual. He ate slow, deliberate, eyes on the lake like it held answers to questions he wouldn't voice. Conversation flowed easy at first, Jake recounting campus drama, some hookup gone wrong with a frat boy that had us all chuckling, the sound rolling out rich and unforced. But my laughs felt hollow, edged with the awareness of Ethan beside me, his knee brushing mine when he shifted. Accidental? The contact lingered, a pressure that sent sparks up my thigh, and I shifted too, pretending to adjust my plate. "Tell me about that design project," Ethan said suddenly, directing it at me, fork pausing midway to his mouth. His gaze pinned me, curious and intent, like he was sketching my edges in his mind. Jake groaned, "Oh God," not the architecture geek talk. But I lit up, words tumbling out about the sustainable housing model I'd pitched in class, the curves of eco-panels mimicking lake waves. Ethan leaned in, elbows on knees, chin propped on laced fingers. "Sounds solid, but what about the human element? How's it feel inside? Does it breathe, or just exist?" His voice dropped on the last words, eyes never leaving mine, and the question landed heavy, laced with layers I couldn't unpack in front of Jake. I stammered something about natural light and flow, but inside, my mind raced. Does it breathe? God, the way he looked at me then, like he saw past the student facade to the ache I hid, the loneliness of hookups in dorm shadows, the closet door creaking half open in a world that still side-eyed guys like me. Jake yawned dramatically, stretching. You two are killing the vibe. I'm hitting the boat. He bolted before we could protest, leaving the porch in sudden quiet, broken only by the grill's dying pops and the lap of water on shore. Ethan didn't move, just sipped his iced tea, condensation dripping slow down the glass like tears held back. He's a good kid, he said finally, voice soft as dusk. Like his mom. Reckless heart. I nodded, throat tight. Yeah, takes after you too, though. The fixing things part. It was bold, flirting with the line, but the words slipped out, drawn by the pull of his presence. His chuckle was low, a rumble that vibrated the swing. Flattery from the near-drowned? Dangerous. But his eyes crinkled warm, and for a moment, the air between us hummed. Not with tension, but possibility. The sun dipped lower, gilding the lake in gold, and I wondered if he felt it too. That invisible thread tightening, drawing us toward an edge sharper than any dock. Dusk fell like a curtain call, painting the sky in bruises of purple and orange, the kind of American heartland sunset that begged for bonfires and bad decisions. Jake fired up the pit first, logs crackling to life with a whoosh that sent sparks dancing like fireflies, the scent of burning oak wrapping around us thick and primal. We dragged chairs close, the Adirondacks groaning under our weight, passing a six-pack that sweated in the cooling air. Ethan stoked the flames with a poker, muscles flexing under firelight shadows, his face half-lit, half-mystery. Stories spilled out as the stars pricked the velvet sky. Jake retelling the time we snuck out for that county fair bender, cotton candy sticking to our fingers, Ferris wheel kisses with girls we'd pretend meant something. I laughed along, but my eyes kept drifting to Ethan, tracing the way flames licked his jaw, turning silver hair to molten. He listened mostly, interjecting with dry quips that landed like punches. Sounds like trouble I should have nipped early, but his gaze on me was different, lingering, probing, like he was piecing together a puzzle from stolen glances. The beer loosened tongues, warmth spreading from gut to limbs, and Jake, 3 in, got maudlin. To Summers, he toasted, bottle raised high, reflection wobbling in the glass. And not dying in lakes. We clinked, the sound sharp as breaking ice, and I felt Ethan's knee press mine under the chair arms. Deliberate this time, a secret pressure that made my breath hitch. I didn't move, couldn't. As the fire died to embers, Jake yawned, stumbling toward the cabin. Night losers. Don't stay up plotting world domination. The screen door slapped shut behind him, leaving us in the hush of night sounds. Crickets chirping a frantic chorus, waves whispering against pebbles, the pop of cooling wood. Ethan poked at the coals, sparks rising like sighs. You scared me today, he said quietly, not looking up. The admission hung, raw and unarchitected, cracking the silence. I swallowed, heart thudding louder than the lake's lap. Scared myself. My voice was barely above the flame's murmur, but he heard, turned, then, eyes catching the glow, deep, unguarded, pulling me in like the undertow I'd escaped. You're stronger than you think, Alex. His hand found my arm, resting there heavy and sure, thumb tracing a slow circle over my elbow. The touch ignited, skin prickling under his palm, and I leaned in without thinking, the space between us shrinking to breath. His scent, smoke and cedar, filled my lungs, dizzying, and for a heartbeat, his lips parted as if to bridge the gap. But he pulled back first, hand dropping like it burned. Go inside. Get some rest. The words were rough, edged with regret, and he stood abrupt, chair scraping gravel. I watched him go, broad back disappearing into shadow, the door creaking shut like a full stop. Sleep came fitful that night, sheets tangled around legs, moonlight slicing through blinds to stripe the guest room floor. Dreams twisted, water closing over my head, then Ethan's hands breaking through. Not pulling me up, but deeper, into a world of tangled limbs and gasped confessions. I woke sweating, pulse racing, the ache low and insistent. Down the hall, a floorboard groaned. Ethan, pacing maybe, or just the house settling like old bones. Morning broke crisp, coffee brewing with a gurgle that pulled me downstairs. Jake was out cold, but Ethan was at the table, blueprints spread like a map to forbidden places, pencil scratching faint lines. He looked up, rumpled in a Henley that hugged his chest, stubble darker overnight. Morning, neutral, but his eyes, God, those eyes, held the echo of last night's almost. We talked architecture then, real talk over mugs that steamed like unspoken wants. He sketched a quick curve on scrap paper. A lakeside pavilion, fluid lines evoking waves, and slid it over, our fingers brushing electric. What would you add? He asked, voice low, the question laced with more than design. I traced the line, heart in my throat. Windows, to let the light in, meaning us, him, the pull I couldn't deny. He nodded slow, gaze intense. Yeah, light changes everything. The air thickened, charged, until Jake's footsteps thundered down, blasting the moment to shards. The day unfolded in lazy loops, fishing from the New Brace dock, lines plunking into water that rippled like silk, the tangy zip of worms on hooks turning my stomach but Ethan's patient knot tying steadying my hands. Jake caught a bass first, whooping as it thrashed silver in sunlight, but I fumbled mine, line tangling in a mess. Ethan waded over, boots splashing, and untangled it with fingers that grazed my thigh underwater. Accidental, deniable, but the current jolted straight to my core. Afternoon, he murmured close, breath warm on my neck. We'll practice casts, just you and me. The promise hung, veiled, as Jake reeled in his trophy, oblivious. By evening, storm clouds boiled on the horizon, thunder rumbling distant like a warning growl. We barbecued ribs, sauce sticky sweet, dripping fat hissing on coals, and ate under the pavilion Ethan had dreamed up years back, rain pattering tentative on tin roof. Jake spun tales of future road trips, but my mind wandered to the man across the table, the way his laugh rumbled low when I cracked a dumb joke, eyes crinkling in firelight. Later, as lightning forked the sky, Jake crashed early, storm lullaby rocking him out. I lingered on the porch, rain sheeting down in silver curtains, the air electric with ozone bite. Ethan joined me, silent at first, shoulders brushing as we leaned on the rail. Thunder cracked overhead, vibrating bones, and his hand found mine in the dark. Tentative, then firm, fingers lacing like they'd always fit. Alex, he breathed, turning to face me, rain misting his face. This us. It's a goddamn storm. His free hand cupped my jaw, thumb rough on my cheek, eyes searching mine fierce in the flash. I leaned in, heart slamming. Then let's get caught in it. Our lips met, soft at first, testing, then hungry, his mouth tasting of bourbon and want, beard scraping delicious fire. He pulled me close, body hard against mine, groan vibrating from his chest as rain soaked us through. The world narrowed to this. His hands in my hair, my nails on his back, the storm mirroring the one breaking inside. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, breaths mingling ragged. Jake, he whispered, regret threading the word, but his hold didn't loosen. Forget him, just tonight. Reckless words, but true, the pull too strong to fight. He nodded once and led me inside, door clicking soft behind us. The guest room swallowed us, bed creaking under weight, sheets twisting as we explored, slow, reverent. His touches mapping scars and sighs, my gasps lost in the thunder. He was gentle, then fierce, whispering my name like a blueprint for home, bodies moving in rhythm with the rain's relentless drum. Dawn crept in gray, finding us tangled, his arm heavy across my waist, breath steady on my neck. Guilt flickered as Jake's voice echoed from the kitchen. Pans clanging, coffee brewing. But for now, in this stolen pocket, it was just us, pulled from one depth into another, deeper still. The days blurred after that, a fever dream of stolen moments laced with the sharp edge of secrecy. Mornings started innocent. Jake nursing hangovers with greasy eggs, Ethan at the stove flipping them with spatula flicks that belied the tension coiling in his shoulders. I'd catch his eye over the table, quick, heated, while Jake rambled about tailgates, oblivious to the undercurrent swirling like lake fog. One brush of fingers under the counter, a knee nudge in passing, small fires banked, waiting for night. Afternoons were hours in fragments. Fishing lesson. Ethan would mutter when Jake napped or wandered the shore, luring me to the boat with a nod. We'd motor out to the cove, engines putter fading to quiet slap of hull on waves, then anchor in shallows where reeds whispered secrets. There, under wide sky, we'd cast lines, not caring for bites but talk. Real talk, voices low over the water's hush. He opened slow, like a house settling. Stories of his early days, drafting in cramped Chicago lofts, the grind of permits and pores that built calluses deeper than skin. Lost her quick, he said once, reel clicking as he reeled an empty line. Eyes on the horizon where clouds bruised purple. Cancer don't wait for blueprints. His voice cracked faint, and I reached, hand on his thigh, steady, anchoring. He covered it with his own, thumb stroking slow circles, the touch saying what words couldn't. I'd share too, nights in dorms scrolling Grindr in shadows, the hollow ache of anonymous thrusts that left me emptier, the closet's weight pressing like water over my head. Felt like drowning long before the lake, I admitted, line taut in my grip. He turned then, real forgotten, pulling me across the bench seat into a kiss that tasted of salt and sun-warmed skin. Urgent, unhurried. His hands roaming under my shirt, mapping ribs and dips, groans muffled against my neck as the boat rocked gentle. But the high crested sharp against the crash of reality. Jake started noticing, subtle at first, a squint over breakfast when Ethan's laugh came too easy at my jokes, a pause when our chairs scooted close. "You two are weirdly buddy-buddy lately," he said one evening, ribs half-eaten, sauce smudged on his chin. The fire popped loud in the silence, embers glowing accusatory. Ethan stiffened beside me, fork scraping plate. "Just talking shop. Kids got ideas." His tone was even, but his knee pressed mine under the table. Warning, reassurance, a lifeline in the lie. Jake shrugged, but his eyes lingered, doubtful. "Yeah, well, don't go recruiting him for your firm or whatever. He's mine first." The words landed playful, but barbed, and guilt twisted my gut like a hook. That night, in the dark of my room, Ethan's body covered mine. Slow, deep thrusts that drew sighs from my throat, but his whispers carried weight. "This can't last. Not like this." I clung tighter, nails raking his back, chasing the release that blurred the edges. "Then what?" I gasped post-climax, sweat-slick skin cooling in the fan's whir. He rolled off, arm draping my chest, breath ragged. "Don't know, but hurting him." The sentence trailed, heavy as storm clouds gathering again. The breaking point came midweek, sky spitting rain in fits, turning the lake choppy gray. Jake suggested a hike, old trail snaking through pines, mud sucking at boots, the air thick with wet earth and resin. Ethan begged off, paperwork calls. But his eyes begged me stay. I went anyway, loyalty a chain I couldn't snap. The path climbed steep, roots tripping like snares, Jake ahead chattering about post-grad plans. Some tech startup in Austin, ditching the Midwest for neon lights. You in? He tossed over shoulder, pausing at a overlook where the lake sprawled below, rain-veiled. My chest tightened, words sticking. Maybe. Got options. Lie half-truth, the real pull was here, in this tangled mess of want and wreckage. He turned full, brow furrowed, rain dripping from curls. What's with you, man? Distant as hell. And Dad, y'all acting like, I dunno. Hurt flickered, raw in his eyes, and it gutted me. Brother, not blood, but close enough to bleed. Nothing, I lied, voice thin as the mist, but he stepped closer, grip on my arm vice tight. Bullshit. I saw you last night. Porch light on late, voices low. Him leaving your door. The accusation hung, thunder in his tone, face crumpling like wet paper. Tell me I'm wrong. The world tilted, rain blurring vision, heart slamming guilty. Jake, He recoiled, hand dropping like scorched. Fuck Alex. My dad? That's betrayal on steroids. Voice broke, anger cracking to pain, and he shoved past, boots squelching down trail, leaving me in the downpour's roar. I stumbled after, calls lost in wind, but he was gone, vanished into pines like a ghost. The hike back was blur. Mud caking calves, branches whipping cheeks, chest hollow as the echo of his footsteps. Cabin loomed, lights warm through sheets of rain, mocking the cold knot in my gut. Inside quiet, too quiet. Jake's truck keys gone from hook, engine growl fading down gravel drive. Ethan looked up from table, blueprints forgotten, face ashen. He knows. I nodded, dripping on floorboards, words failing. He crossed in 2 strides, pulling me into arms that trembled. Rain soaking his shirt, but he held fast, chin on my crown. My fault. Should have stopped it. No. I mumbled into his chest, cedar and regret. Ours. We stood there, storm raging outside, the one inside fiercer. Tempest of choices, the pull now a rip current threatening to drown us all. Hours stretched endless, rain hammering roof like accusations, cabin creaking under the onslaught. Ethan paced kitchen, phone clutched white-knuckled, checking messages that stayed blank. I'd curled on couch, towel draped, the damp chill seeping deeper than skin, replaying Jake's face, that betrayal flash, sharper than any knife. Brother lost in a heartbeat, all for stolen nights that tasted now of ash. Ethan stopped finally, sinking beside me, hand finding my knee, hesitant, then steady. He'll come around. Or, we end this. The words gut-punched, his eyes stormy as the lake beyond window, waves thrashing white-capped. I turned, searching that face, rugged lines etched deeper by regret. The man who'd pulled me from depths now offering the hardest blueprint. Let go. Can't? I whispered, leaning in despite the war inside, lips brushing his in a kiss tasting of salt tears and desperation. Soft at first, seeking anchor, then fracturing. His hands cupping my face, thumbs wiping tracks I hadn't felt fall. We moved to his room then, door latching soft against the gale, bed welcoming like a confessional. No frenzy this time, just slow unraveling, clothes peeled layer by layer, skin meeting skin in reverent maps. His mouth traced collarbone, eliciting shudders, whispers of sorry, breathed against ribs as fingers explored with aching care. I arched into him, gasps punctuating thunder, the rhythm building tender, cresting in shared release that left us gasping, entwined. Lying thereafter, his heartbeat steady under my palm, reality crept back. Jake's absence a void echoing louder than storm. What now? I murmured, tracing the scar on his lip, silver in lamplight. He sighed, deep and bone-weary, arm tightening. Face it. Tomorrow. Sleep claimed him first, breath evening out, but mine evaded. Tossed in sheets scented of us, mind churning waves of what-ifs. Dawn broke sullen, clouds hanging low like judgment. Lake's sullen mirror to the mood. Coffee brewed automatic, but mugs sat untouched, steam curling accusatory. Ethan's phone buzzed first, text from Jake. At motel in town. Need space. Don't follow. The words landed heavy, Ethan's jaw clenching audible over the drip. He hates me, I said, voice small, staring at my reflection in dark brew. Eyes hollow, stubble shadowing jaw like guilt's fingerprint. Ethan set his down, hand covering mine, warm, unyielding. Hates the hurt, not you. Give him time. But his eyes, blue fractured, betrayed the lie we both tasted. Time might not mend what we'd cracked. The day dragged in limbo, chores mechanical, dock repairs abandoned mid-nail, hammer clanging forgotten on planks. Ethan sketched absently, lines jagged where grace usually flowed, while I wandered shore, skipping stones that plunked flat into gray water, each ripple mocking the mess. Seagulls wheeled overhead, cries sharp as accusations, the air thick with damp pine and unspoken dread. Evening found us on porch, rain eased to mist, chairs pulled close but not touching. Space a chasm we couldn't bridge. Fireflies blinked tentative in dusk, tiny lights in gathering dark, and Ethan cracked first. Remember the first summer you came? Jake 12, you the same, building that god-awful raft from pallets. Sank in 10 minutes flat. I huffed a laugh, ghost of one. Yeah, you fished us out, cursing like a sailor. The memory warmed faint. His younger self hauling dripping boys to shore, towel snaps and gruff scolds hiding fondness. He nodded, gaze distant on fireflies dance. Thought you were trouble then. Still do. Tease laced soft, but undercut with truth. The trouble we'd brewed, sweet and ruinous. I shifted, knee brushing his deliberate. Worth it? The question hung, vulnerable as exposed wire. His hand found mine, lacing fingers slow. Every damn second. Pull again, that inexorable tug, drawing me across armrest into lap, his mouth claiming mine. Deep, affirming, tasting of coffee and resolve. We lingered there, kisses trailing to neck, hands wandering under mist-damp shirt, breaths mingling ragged as night deepened. But headlights pierced the dark then, tires crunching gravel, engine cutting abrupt. Jake's truck, silhouette stark against treeline. Heart stuttered, Ethan's arms freezing mid-caress. Door slammed, footsteps heavy on path, porch boards creaking under weight. He appeared in threshold light, hair wild, jaw set, duffel slung shoulder like armor. Eyes flicked us, disentangling hasty, guilt hot on cheeks and landed hard. We talk. Now. Ethan stood first, hand extended tentative. Son. Not you. Jake's voice cracked whip, gaze pinning me. Outside. Doc. The walk was silent torture. Mud-sucking boots, mist beating cold on skin, lake lapping accusatory. We reached the end, braced new underfoot, and he turned, face illuminated ghostly by cabin glow. How long? Week, I admitted, voice swallowed by waves. Since the pull. He barked, laugh, bitter, poetic, betraying your best friend for his dad. My dad. Pain twisted features, fists clenching at sides. What? I'm not enough. Our summers, the plans, gone for. What? Some midlife fantasy. Words jammed, throat tight. Not like that. You're everything. It happened. The save, the looks. Save? He saves everyone. Alex. That's Dad. Voice rose, cracking, rain starting again in fat drops. But you? We were brothers. Now I walk in, see you on him like, fuck. He paced, boots thudding, then stopped, eyes wet. Ends. Tonight. Guilt crashed, but under it ache. For him, for us. Can't just. Yes. Final, steel in tone. Or we're done. All of it. The ultimatum hung, heavier than downpour, lake mirroring turmoil in choppy black. I nodded slow, chest caving. Okay. He exhaled shaky, shoulder slumping. Good. Turned to leave, but paused, voice softening. Love you, man. Even now. Words pierced, and he was gone. Footsteps fading to cabin, door shutting final. Back inside, Ethan waited, face drawn in lamplight. It's over, I said, voice hollow, collapsing into chair. He knelt before me, hands on knees, steady, eyes fierce. Not us, if you want. The offer dangled, lifeline or noose. I searched his face, the man who'd rebuilt after loss, now offering rebuild for us. Want? I whispered, pulling him up into kiss, desperate, claiming. We tumbled to rug, bodies urgent against the end. Release a temporary dam against flood. But morning clarified. Jake's truck gone again. Note on counter. Heading back early. See you at school. Sort your shit. Cold, but door cracked for mend. Ethan and I packed quiet, touches lingering. Fingers brush in boxes, hugs at car doors. Come to Chicago, he said finally. Rain-washed sky clearing blue behind. Internship. Real one. We figure the rest. Heart lifted, pull shifting, not undertow, but current toward shore. Yeah, we do. The drive home wound through Heartland Green. Windows down to wind-whipped air. Radio crooning some country ballad of lost and found. Jake texted midway, not cool. But, talk soon? Bridge extended, fragile but there. Pulling into dorm lot, Ethan's truck idling behind. Last goodbye kiss through window, hand cupping neck, promise and press. Into my world, he murmured, echoing the fall that started it. I nodded, stepping out to pavement solid underfoot. All in. The lake's echo faded, but the depth remained. Not drowning, but dive. Meaningful plunge, into waters shared, rebuilt strong. Weeks blurred into autumn crisp, leaves turning flame on campus elms. Air sharp with bonfire smoke and change. Chicago loomed weekend escape. Train rattling north, heart sinking with wheels click. Ethan's loft waited. Exposed brick breathing history. Blueprints pinned like stars. Bed a haven of rumpled sheets and low murmurs. Internship grounded me. Coffee runs to drafting tables. His guidance firm but laced with pride. Good line, Alex. Flows natural. Nights, we'd cook. Pasta sauce simmering garlic rich. Wine loosening tongues to dreams. Sustainable builds for queer youth centers. Homes with light for hidden hearts. Jake mended slow. Awkward calls turning to beers at dive bars. His laugh returning edged but real. Still weird as hell. He'd grunt over foam. But eyes held forgiveness. Brother bonds scarred but holding. Just, don't fuck it up. Thanksgiving pulled us home. Lake house neutral ground. Tension thawing over turkey carved precise. Jake's mom's recipe a ghost honored in bites. Ethan's hand found mine under table. Brief, electric. While Jake pretended not to see. Toasting instead to new chapters, no drownings. Winter deepened, snow blanketing shores white. Our world carving private. Skates on frozen lake. His arms steady as I wobbled. Falls into drifts ending in laughs and kisses melting cold. Spring thawed barriers. Jake meeting us for coffee. Awkward at first, then easing to slaps on back. Happy for you, I guess. Old man needed shaking up. Graduation dawned bright. Cap tassel swaying as diploma clutched. Ethan's seat front row. Eyes proud, wet. Reception after. Hugs and flashes. His whisper amid chaos. Proud. So damn proud. Summer circled back. Lake calling, dock solid under rebuilt faith. We stood there now, Jake grilling nearby, burgers sizzling promise. Water lap gentle, sun gilding waves, and Ethan's arm slung casual shoulder. Public, earned. Fell in? I murmured, leaning into him, cedar sent home. He chuckled low, lips brushing temple. Pulled you out, built better. Into his world, ours now, depths shared, surface strong. Meaning etched deep, like text on weathered wood, one pull, endless dive.